Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Discover Aura. It's good of you to join us this afternoon. It's a pleasure to have your company. We are going to spend the next 30 minutes talking about Aura, an organization that's been around for almost 60 years. The birthday's fast approaching. My name, for those of you who don't know me, is Tom Kerr. I look after events at Aura. And in fact, why don't we just introduce some of our council members who volunteered to take part today to give their perspective, and one of our directors as well, who's on the Aura Council. Can I introduce you to Viv Harrison, who is Research and Insights Manager at the Caravan and Motorhome Club? Can I also introduce you to Astrid Opati, who is Members Panel Manager at the Principality Building Society and co-chair of Planet Friendly Network. To Bogdan Zoricki, who is Insight Manager at Paragon Bank. And to Nicola Stevens, who's Head of Insight Retail at Close Brothers Finance. Now, we also have in the call here today Suzanne Lugtart, who is the marketing guru at Aura and one of the support team. We have Richard Drury, who looks after Treasury, and me, Tom Kerr, who looks after events. So we are going to invite you to put questions into the Q&A box if you would do that, and we'll deal with the questions once we hear the perspectives from the members. And I'm now going to hand over to Viv Harrison to do an introduction to Aura. Viv, over to you.
Thanks very much, Tom. Next slide, please, Suzanne. Thank you. Lovely. Well, welcome everybody. As Tom says, we're approaching our 60th birthday, which was remarkable. But Aura is a totally unique organisation. It's completely exclusive for client-side researchers. And I think everyone involved with it is truly passionate about research and insights and doing their very best with these to have impact in their organisations. We've got around 200 companies who are members of Aura, which spans about 700 individuals. And we're UK-wide, with most of our face-to-face events being held in the UK. Next slide, please, Suzanne. The unique point, as I say, is that we are run by client-side researchers for client-side researchers, and that puts us in the lovely position where we are totally in control of the content that we source and create for our members, and our members have a big say in exactly what they would like us to focus on and talk about. Another major benefit is that you can tune into everything without fear of sales pitches, albeit you might, of course, hear from agencies or freelancers that you think, wow, they sound interesting, I might like to follow up with them. But you're under no pressure to so do. And of course, being led by volunteers means that we manage to keep our costs extremely low and the value for money we offer exceptionally high. And certainly I've been a member 10 years and I have no hesitation every year in renewing my sub because of the amazing value for money that I personally receive. So I'd like to hand you over now to Nicola, who's going to give you a little bit of her perspective. Over to you, Nicola.
Thank you, Viv. So I'm Nicola. I'm one of the members, along with Astrid and Bogdan, who've come to share our perspectives with you as you're either recent to Aura and want to hear more about what you can get from it, or you're thinking about joining Aura in the future. The first thing to say, what's drawn me to Aura, is exactly what's on the slide here, that it is a really friendly, inclusive and a knowledge sharing network. We've got members who are teams of one. There's nearly 20 people who are just a team of one, right up to those who are 20 plus. Now, if I think about my story and what I get from Aura, I have been with Aura for a number of years. When I've been a team of one, I'm currently a team of 4. I've also been a team of 7. And we do cover, and what I get a lot from is the fact that we've got not-for-profit companies, really large household names that you would recognize, as well as a lot of smaller companies that you think, oh, I think I know who they are. Oh, I didn't even realize they had an insight team. One of the things that's really useful, not just the webinars and some of the content that Astrid and Bogdan will talk about in a minute, but it's being able to spark ideas, to hear from some of those other industry professionals, people who are doing a similar kind of job, but in a completely different industry. Because we find that sometimes if you're comparing financial services with financial services, you kind of get some ideas, but the products aren't quite the same. And sometimes you can get into quite a narrow way of thinking. Whereas if you're hearing about what someone in the retail sector has done, or a grocery company, or something completely different, it helps spark a lot of those different ideas. And for my team, in terms of their development, what's useful about them being part of Aura is that they aren't just learning from me. So in a pure, nice research way, I'm not putting my bias necessarily on what they are learning about and the ideas that they spark. They're really being able to find out more from lots of different similar researchers, people in insight roles, and making the most of that kind of diversity of thought as well. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the fantastic credibility that comes along with Aura being an impartial organisation and community. We entered for the Aura Awards this year, at which I well know I'm very prestigious in the insight circles. We were absolutely thrilled to be finalists for a couple of awards, and beyond ecstatic to actually win one of the new categories, which was return on investment. It really gave our team a boost just to be finalists, and that real buzz for entering, let alone winning. But that credibility that being part of Aura had, and winning such an award, has helped with us, again, back at the ranch, back in our organisation, to think about, oh, well, we think that the insight team has been doing quite well. We've been interested in what they've done. Oh, they've been recognised outside of the company. It's a really nice additional piece to be able to give your insight teams a boost, as well as your own profile and your credibility within your organisation. And I skipped over some of the great quotes that were on the slide before, so I apologise about that. There were some fantastic pieces there, just in the ones in yellow, that just talk about, from other members who've helped us contribute to today, look at meeting up with people doing a similar job to me. It helps me step out of my one brown bubble, helps me expand my thinking. That community side of things is really important to many people that are part of Aura. And with that, I'll hand you over to Astrid for her perspective.
Thank you, Nicola. As we've said, my name is Astrid Opetti, and I manage our online community at Principality Building Society. I joined the society during the pandemic, and for me, being able to keep in touch with what was happening in the research sector was really important. So the webinar was really valuable. They helped me to see what was, how people were adapting, how everything going online was making, research still possible, and the varied subjects that are covered are just amazing. And we're lucky that all the webinars are recorded, and you can access them on the Aura Bank. Some of the live events as well are, you can access the slide afterwards if you want to refer to it after attending an event. So for me, that is something that I really, really appreciate, because I live in Wales. I can't always, attend event in London, although I have been really lucky to be able to attend some of them. But the regularity of the webinar are just something that you just can't get anywhere else, I think. The collaboration between the client and the agency that are presented during those webinars show how the project were, from right at the beginning, the hurdles that had been that people had to go through, the creativity to be able to achieve the research, and also how it impacted the company. So it's really a full story that you are able to see, and you can get, even if the subject isn't really something that is related to you. As Nicola was saying, I work in financial services, but sometimes I see something from a completely different sector, but either the methodology or maybe how the insight was disseminated is something that you can use yourself in your day-to-day job. So that's something that, I find really important for me. We are a small team. There's only 3 of us in Principality, and basically the company was already a member of Aura when I joined. So for me, it was a no-brainer. I was part of it. But it's sort of my way to get training, because as a specialist within the company, I don't really get any way to get that sort of way of getting any insight from anybody, apart from when I go to this event and all the networking that happening. So yeah, that's for me some of the best part of being a member of Aura. In addition to the webinar, the face-to-face events that are happening quite often in London, but there are events in the rest of the UK, are even a best way that you can actually network with other members. And as I think Viv said, you will meet some agencies and you might be inspired with what they do. So that gives you the opportunity to widen who you can work with. Finally, the last two for me are the ability to attend Quirks. So this is a yearly event in London over 2 days, and you get a free entry with membership to Aura, and you can see, like, I don't know, I think probably 10 presentations per day over the 2 days. So you get, an opportunity to see a lot and to learn a lot and to network with lots and lots of people. And the last one that Nicola mentioned, the Aura, where her and her team got an award, is a yearly dinner that's happening, and where the project that I've done, that have inspired people over the year, are rewarded, and we celebrate it in July every year. So yeah, that's my highlight, I guess, on being a member of Aura. And I'll pass on to Bogdan now. Thank you.
So I'll talk about the Knowledge Hub and the forum, because these are some of my favorite bits from Aura. So I'm a bit of an introvert, so I don't always think, oh yes, I really want to go to that event. Sometimes I just want to stay behind my screen and take notes of webinars. So starting off with the Knowledge Hub. So basically, this is the as the name suggests, where all the knowledge is held, and that means that any presentations from any events, any webinars, all the recordings are over there. And let's say if you join now, you'll have access to everything that has been presented through Aura, really. So I think it's a really good resource to have. So it's basically presentations from client side researchers like ourselves, and like Astrid was saying about Nicola, we have presentations with real case studies, as in we used this agency or we used this methodology, and this is how we did a great job, and you can win awards for it. And the hub is also organized by topics as well. So if you don't feel like just scrolling past through all the presentations, and you can always look into your topics of interest. So whether you want to keep up with what's been happening in, let's say, customer experience, or you want to delve into something that's a bit newer to you, you can always go and explore those presentations and those webinar recordings as well. And then the best bet for me is the member forum. So whilst this, like the Knowledge Hub, it's sorted in sort of like topics of interest to make it easier to navigate, is absolutely free for the members to post anything they want, and you don't really need to post anything. So if you have a question, or the way I go about things in general is that if I encounter an issue, there must be someone else who also encountered this issue before me. I'll be very lucky if I would be the first one. So in here, people post questions about methodologies, recommendations for agencies, or even feedback from some agencies, how to win over stakeholders. So any question that you can imagine, it basically you can ask in there. And if you don't see a relevant answer in there, you can always add a comment, follow up with people. People are usually just very friendly, and you can move on from the forum and have one-to-one chats with the people if you wish. So, and moving on to about me basically. So I started life at I started my career agency side. And as with all agencies, there's always someone to hand who's an expert in a certain area or another. And when I moved client side, I think this was the main thing that I missed. And having access to the Aura webinars and the Aura member forum, I think it gave me back that reassurance that if I have a question, there will be someone to answer it for me. And then you can always ask for feedback on specific agencies, and you know it's going to be unbiased, because on LinkedIn people may not be posting like, I use this agency and they were so and so, they weren't like the best, even though they this is what they say. And I'm pretty sure everyone may have had a similar experience with an agency or two, and also share feedback on agencies that have been great, maybe smaller agencies, maybe bigger agencies, and also on methodologies. Maybe there's something new that people tried and it worked really well, and you always get the chance to keep up to date to that. And then again, on the forum, you get to ask any question that you have, and there's absolutely no limitations on that. And not necessarily just asking questions, but also if you have something that has worked well for you, you can always share it on the forum. So it doesn't have to be just a one-way street where you just ask questions. You can also share anything. And I recently put together a post of just some sort of resources that I use, so like websites with royalty-free images, libraries of icons, where I get inspiration from when it comes to charting and so on. So yeah, I think Aura is a great resource to have when you are client side, and I think I speak for everyone because we're all volunteers here, so we all want to give something back to the community, not just attend events and then never speak to another researcher past our company afterwards. And I like to think of it, or the forum specifically, as a local neighborhood Facebook group, but instead of like neighbors, you have your inside neighbors in there.
That's a really nice way of thinking about that, Bogdan. It's nearly time for Q&A, so I'll give you I'll signal that to you now so you can be typing in your questions as we go along. So just to round up really from our perspective, what are some of the reasons you might want to invest in your career and your team? So people join as their companies, whether they're a team of 1 or a team of 3 or a team of 20. The cost is £600 a year, which if you want a behavioural science, it averages out at a mere £50 a month, and that gets you up to 4 people's worth of access. So we've spoken today about the fact that there's a lot of peer-to-peer support, plenty of events. So I think it's about 20 a year. Suzanne's going to nod, 20 webinars a year roughly. So really frequent. They're broadly at the same time, the same day, so you can build that in. They're an hour. We always finish on time so you can get back to the day job, but it's really easy to be able to fit those in, as well as the fantastic in-person events program, which is London and not London in terms of location. So it isn't just London that is based. Free tickets for the Quirks conference, which Astrid talked about, which alone are worth £149 each. Fantastic member forum, extensive knowledge hub. I do exactly what Bogdan just said, which is, oh, I'm wondering about such and such. I'll go and have a quick look if anyone's ever asked that question on the forum, and you usually get some good ideas there. And all of the quotes that you've seen as we've gone through today, and the one that we've got here, when we let the rest of the members know that we were going to run this session, we asked them, what would you like to say for people who are considering joining, or what do you get from it? And within 24 hours, we had too many to put on the slide. So that was really, really nice. The events also take the form of workshops with different agencies, and as we've talked about, it's a chance to celebrate your work and your people with other people in the industry. We know that sometimes it can feel a bit lonely being in an insight team because you don't have multiple insight teams in different companies. So the fact that you've got that community to tap into can be really valuable for people. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Tom, who I think is going to be our Q&A master for today.
Indeed, we'll host some questions. Now, I noticed that there are no questions in the Q&A box yet, so please do take the opportunity to pop some questions in here. We are at your disposal, happy to answer any questions that you want to put to the panel here.
Shall I answer a question that hasn't been typed but that often gets asked, Tom? Shall I start there? So we often get asked about the investment, the cost, as we've talked briefly about how much it is. How do I convince finance is often a question as well. We have got a one-page handout that we can send around to everyone who's been on the call. You've got that impartial to be able to refer to it back. But my top tip here would be is you don't necessarily have to ask finance. You could ask your learning and development team. Often learning and development teams have budgets, and considering the prices of some courses, individual courses or conferences or things that to go on, particularly the annual cost for so many different events for so many people in your team, that usually, even for one person, it's an absolute steal in terms of value. But you're asking for one lump sum in one go, and then that's effectively, you could potentially say that's it, that's going to be my investment in my development, but you've then got it to be able to go through the year. So you might be able to get it from your Insight budget, you might have to finance for it separately, but do consider your learning and development, your training teams, because sometimes they have budget that this kind of thing fits really nicely into, and you can show the breadth of learning opportunities that you have that also suit different types of learners in your team. Some people will prefer in person, some people will prefer webinars. So there's a very nice, as well as genuinely being helpful to your people, there's also a nice diversity of learning styles that's available in there as well.
Super, lovely encapsulation, Nicola. And it's also a good way of getting the finance department involved, as you say. They're always keen to know what goes on in the world, and they are interested in Insight. So a nice way to draw them in. Richard, if you were this year, there was a question coming in, which is the £600 a year for 4 people. How much would it be for an additional 1 or 2 people? Do you want to deal with that question?
Yes, I can. So for every extra person above 4, we charge £110 plus VAT per person. Once you get above 10 people, which there are some companies that have that, then we cap that amount because we think it's unfair that it keeps going exponentially upwards, beyond which we need to for the amount that we need to collect to run Aura. So yeah, very simply, very simple scale that says anywhere between 1 and 4, it's £600, and after that it's £110 plus VAT for every extra person.
Excellent. Thank you, Richard. As I said at the beginning, Richard looks after membership and treasury. So he's our money master. Another question that's come in is, do we have any upcoming courses related to AI? Well, maybe I should field that one, because we did actually put on an AI event lose track of time, either last month or the month before, where we invited a number of our members to come along and present on the topic of AI. We also invited Emmanuel, oh gosh, you never trust a memory.
Maggiore,
thank you, Suzanne. Thank you for stepping in. Emmanuel Maggiore, who has written a couple of books on the very topic of AI, and he added hugely to our panel discussion that we had on that day. So we had an agency perspective as well, which was very much looking at a love letter to the qual. How will qualitative research fare going forward? Where does qualitative research fit in a world of AI? We also had Lucy Davidson come along from Keen as Mustard, and Lucy gave a perspective from SMR on the strengths and weaknesses of human v machine. And they did it for real in trying to come up with a story to convince an exec team to actually invest in particular development for an organization. So it all held together beautifully. At the same time, AQR had an event which we are now talking to them about. So we are looking to move it forward. On the Knowledge Hub, which Bogdan so eloquently described, you will find all of these presentations. So every subject matter under the sun is catered for in the Knowledge Hub. So you'd be able to go there and see the presentations and also follow up. Again, using the forum, it's possible to get in touch with members to actually ask them for more detail. And the great thing about Aura members is that they are very open, of course, respecting confidentiality, but very open and given in sharing information. Next question we have coming up. Great presentation. I am the only Insight person in my company. Would there be any way to get a reduced fee, or is £600 the minimum fee? Richard, I can throw it to you, or Suzanne, if you'd like to cater.
Yeah, I can answer that. So the answer to that is currently, unfortunately, no, there isn't. We have to, at the start of the year, work out what our budget would be to be able to deliver all of the things that you've heard about and break even, basically. And the £600 mark is what gets us to that. Currently, we're not for-profit organisation, so we collect all of our money and we distribute it essentially back out in events and content to you guys. So there isn't now. I accept that if you've got 4 people in your team, then you may well be getting per person better value than if you're the single person. We may look at that in the future. The way I would frame it is to say to look at all the value that you would get for your £600 membership. You know, you could go on a course with one of the other membership or organisation bodies within the research market. I'm probably paying anywhere between £400 and £1,000 to go on a course or a seminar. Kind of look at what we offer. You can go to 25 events across the course of the year, plus a conference, plus a knowledge hub, plus a forum. Kind of divide that by what we charge per year, and hopefully the bundling of all of that makes it feel really good value. So I'll take the point. We may look at that in the future for those companies that have single person Insight teams, but not currently within our current budgeting model, which we're working to this year.
And if I could just add to that, I think it's fine for us if you have colleagues in marketing that are very interested in research or are regular users of the research that you do. They're welcome to be part of Aura as well. You know, it's about ensuring that Insight lands within your organisation in the best possible way. And if that comes through routes other than the Insight team, then we're all for that.
Excellent. Thank you, Suzanne. Super. Next question. Where can we get the one-pager mentioned for the finance team?
It'll be in your inbox. In your inboxes tomorrow. First thing tomorrow morning. There
we go. In your inbox tomorrow morning. No sooner asked for than being delivered to your doorstep. So, and the final question we have here. We're going to respect your time because it's 4:29. We always try to finish the events on time and to respect your time. Do we have a schedule for the year ahead of some of the key events or sessions that could help us with the selling? Thanks. The answer is yes, we do. Our next event coming up is on the 6th of December, and that's going to be with
C-Space.
Yeah, my head.
It's
C-Space. Thank you very much,
yeah.
Suzanne. C-Space, absolutely. And they're going to be sharing their Foresight model. Now, we do invite agencies to come along. We don't get involved in training per se, but we do showcase best practices, and the Foresight model is something that C-Space would like to share with our members, and it will be available for use free of charge. So that's on the 6th of December. That's a webinar, starts at 9, finishes at 9:45. In January, in the middle of January 17th, we will be showcasing various award winners from both Aura and from the Market Research Society. The Market Research Society Awards take place on the 4th of December. Each year we reward some of the winners with this opportunity to present to our members. So we'll be showcasing, as I say, the Aura Awards and the MRS Awards in January. In March, we will be showcasing the best small agencies you've probably never heard of. We do this every second year. And that gives us the opportunity. Nobody does the credentials pitch anymore. And that is a member's request to us. It's an unmet need for us to bring emerging new agencies to the forefront so that members can actually see new agencies and potentially consider using them for research projects. Then in May, we have already mentioned the Quirks event, where we have free entry for our members, £149 normal cost of membership there. And in July, we then have the Auras, which is our major celebration of the best research done in the year. Now, interspersed with those face-to-face events, there is an event every second week on a webinar. We will be showcasing some of the papers we received this year, for example, on the best ROI on a spend of less than 15,000, as well as looking at the best return on investment for a market research spend over 15,000, and various other projects and showcases throughout the year. It's 4:31. I'm of a mind to wrap up. You will see on the screen that there are two barcodes. One is an invitation for you to try one of our events for free. So please do take advantage of that to test us out, if you like, and experience the Aura style webinar or face-to-face event, should you choose to come to the face-to-face event. And if you think it's a no-brainer and you want to join, then use the bottom barcode and take advantage of the opportunity to join the Aura community. Would anybody else like to say anything else before we wrap up from the panel?
The final plug I was going to do, Tom, was if we want to get even more of a flavour of some of the topics that we've recently covered, if you have a look at the Aura Insight LinkedIn page, you'll see, and scroll back through, you'll see all of the topics and things. So that might, again, if you're making a case, give a flavour of what's been covered recently and show how topical things are. That's an extra place to find info.
Thanks, Nicola. And thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having your company. I hope you found this instructive and useful. Thank you to volunteers for taking part, and to Suzanne and Richard, of course, for joining us as well in support, and Viv, one of the directors of Aura Council. It's been lovely having you with us, and I hope to see you at an event soon, or to see you taking part on one of our webinars soon. I will sign off with that. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye now.